Regular meeting council to order for Monday, June 18th, 2018. And need an approval of the agenda, but I have, I noticed a motion I want to bring council for covering Caribou Recovery Committee. So it'll be 9:3 if anybody has any objections to that. And the other thing is delegations that usual district is going to be here, I guess, next week. So if I can get an approval of the amended house.
As amended.
Mr. Scott, all in favor? Adoption of minutes for May 22nd, 2018. Okay,
Recommend the council adopt the minutes of the Tuesday, May the 22nd, 2018 regular council meeting minutes as presented.
second of that, Mr. Casey. Any business arising from the minutes? Seeing none. Delegations off, so we'll move straight to correspondence. Order implications for bills, C-45. Information and discussion. Mr. Scott?
Move for information.
All in favor? 6.2, 2018 Canada Day Parade invitation. Information or discussion? Mr. Casey?
Move for information, your worship.
Seconder? Counselor Chaka? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 6.3, child sex trafficking in BC municipalities. Information or discussion? Mr. Casey?
Move for information, your worship.
Seconder? Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Summit Avalanche Consulting Limited request. This is a request for that donation we'll be given for what they do for Avalanche. Doesn't fit into our time frame, but we have done it before, I think. Is there help?
The recommendation on the floor, the council receives, that council approves the request.
Okay. Seconder? Okay. Discussion on it? All in favor? Opposed? BC Hydro meeting with UBCM. I think we should have some discussion on this. I guess I'll move it for discussion second. Yeah, we should be pushing these wind tower projects again, and I don't know, with the Site C one, it's gonna be tough, but if we keep it in the conversation at least. There's some issues like we were saying that with your selling power to Alberta, I don't know why they don't look at that. Pretty close to the wind tower projects up here. So I would get a recommendation on that. I would make the motion that we accept a meeting with BC Hydro at UBCM. Councilor Howell. Councilor Scott.
Just further discussion on that, could we also maybe put it on a PNP so that we can discuss what we are going to present when we do go to UBCM? So if we add this to a PNP and come up with some ideas on that now.
You got that, Mr. Ball? Councilor McKay.
And I wonder if there's any way we could touch bases with Brookfield Energy. They had a pretty good project that was in the works there, and they kind of got set back by the decision with Site C. And I'm just, if they're still interested, that was the biggest player yet.
maybe we should send a letter out to all the equipment companies and just see if there's things that they'd like us to address at that meeting. That would be possible, Mr. Wong? Okay, on recommendation, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. 6.6, Northern Fossil Cliffs UNESCO World Heritage Site. Information and discussion. Councillor Casey,
Move for information, your worship.
seconder. Councillor Garba, all in favor? Opposed? Would you like that for discussion?
Yeah, we'll just quickly touch on it if I could. but-
Okay, well, we can put that back.
Yeah, so,
Okay, you're making, moving it for discussion.
Sure.
And seconder, just for talking, okay,
Sorry.
go ahead.
yeah, so I just wanted to like point out like the letter's well written and they say something in there 3 or 4 times, a couple times anyways, that touches on provincial support that they get from the province of Nova Scotia. So that's part of the part that a lot of these folks are missing, that we aren't getting the provincial support in the paleontology museum that we have here. And these types of letters, and I see it's gone to our MLA and some other folks in the government, which is great, headed that direction, but you know, the gist of that letter was directed towards council, but to me, that letter needs to be forwarded on to the government, because that's the direction that I feel that we need to go with our museum, that a majority of the paleontology side of this fossil finds and the storing of that stuff needs to be taken on by the province, not the district of Tumbler Ridge. This is 2 different things. We're talking about paleontology side of it and the actual museum in Tumbler Ridge. So, I mean, I'm just glad that they pointed that out, that the province of Nova Scotia does a lot for them. We need the province of British Columbia to step up and help us out with this.
Yeah, it's something that I don't think we can drop. It's something that Councillor Scott.
Is this something we can also include, taking to UBCM again to talk to the appropriate ministries? And also, I think it's really important that we bring all 3 organizations, like council, the museum, and the geopark, to a round table and figure out, you know, what everyone's goal is, because we should all be working together on this. And I really think there needs to be further discussion with this, you know, bringing everyone together and getting some things resolved. And with these here letters, including them to go to UBCM for that provincial support, like, you know, I don't want to see some of these things fail, and I think we have a good platform to get everyone organized and on a page going forward.
Yeah, and we have done this a few times, and I guess that's no reason not to do it again, but we have done that, and we got to a very close point of, I think, some acceptance by the province, but it wasn't agreed to by the museum at that point. But we do it again, and to tell you the truth, I've run out of ideas, and I did ask for a meeting of all 3, and it wasn't taken as well as I thought it might. I think people are maybe a little tired of having meetings there, but we can do it again. Maybe we need some fresh ideas out of council. Councilor McKay.
Yeah, I think it's something we've been really consistent with over the years. I mean, every time we go down to UBCM, we normally try and knock on some doors to relay that message that we still don't have support. And but Council Hull brought up, it might be time to do it again with a new government. Maybe they have a little bit of a different idea on what should be done with that.
I really think we gotta solve our issue right here before the government's gonna look at it. As a matter of fact, I've got a letter that I just got from Mike Bernies that I'll forward to council that actually states that they wanna see our issue fixed first, and then they might look at something.
Do they ever give us ideas of what they're looking for from us being unified? Other than just throwing it back at us as a municipality?
You mean the government does?
Yeah, do they ever give some of the criteria that they're
They did.
looking for?
They did come up with a plan that they thought would
Okay.
And I say that was refused, so. Councillor Kirby.
Thank you. I think the government has given us several avenues to look down. I think too, before we sit at the table and get the group together, we need to get the answers to our own questions about what would happen with the fossil collection if there wasn't funding. You know, just exactly who the PRPRC answers to, what their mandate is, what, you know, job descriptions from the organizations. I think, you know, looking down the line, the PRPRC serves a different purpose than the TRMF, and that's got to be considered on how those parts all work. So, you know, even in this letter that joggins Fossil Cliffs, you know, they give us a lot of great ideas without even asking and making the phone call to ourselves as why the funding was cut in the first place. And you know, in here it always says, you know, kids camps and this and that. That's not what's going to make a museum. We realize that. But they also state how accessible their specimens are to the public. And I think that's another thing to look at, is that the public outreach is what we're missing here. So, you know, we've got a ways to go. And as far as sitting down as a group, I think we got to get our answers, answered before we do that.
So just to add a little bit more to that, what do you mean by that? Because I was gonna put a motion forward tonight that says get all of us in a room and start trying to hash this out a little bit. Maybe you won't get it one night, maybe it's gonna take you a month of meetings to get it, but at least to start the formal process that the letter is sent out to the museum and the PRPRC and the Geopark, get everybody in the same room and start hashing this thing out, rather than everybody going off in different, get everybody in one room, try it. But are you saying that we as a council should have a united front first before we go to them?
I think it would be important that council has a clear vision forward, or a pathway forward, where once we get to the table that there's, you know, we know what we want, instead of, you know, trying to figure out, because it hasn't worked in the other ways. And there are things that we need answers for, is just like, if the funding doesn't happen, what happens to the collection? Who's in charge of it? Who's gonna pay for it? Where's it gonna go? You know, those kind of things need to be drawn out. There isn't a succession plan. Those questions haven't been answered to us. And I think there's just some real questions around the finances and getting those books in order to sit down. I know when we were in FCM, we had a good chat with Mayor Ackerman and Mayor Fraser from Taylor, and who have questions on just PRRD funding. So maybe the regional district and the district of Tumbler Ridge could get some of those questions together, because we're basically the funding organizations for that. And then once we know and we have steps going forward, then we can sit down and say, how do we get that going? And how is the TRMF and the PRPRC gonna work to achieve that? And just talk, like, get those, I think we need to get some answers first.
Councillor Casey, you had this.
Thank you, Worship. I don't have any objections to sitting down and talking about what's happened in the past. I think that's absolutely critical. The last thing that I can recall of this is that they didn't want to have, not just the provincial government, but the museum and so on and so forth, didn't want to have any part of it. In the manner in which they were treated by the Tumbler Ridge Museum Foundation, those players are all the same as we speak right now. They wouldn't have anything to do. It's either their way or the highway. So I would certainly recommend, which has already been, I think, discussed here, that we have a discussion relative to who's going to handle it, what is the situation, what are the obstacles that we have to overcome that we haven't previously, that were made to occur by the Tumbler Ridge Museum Foundation. I would suggest we do that to make sure that all of our ducks are in a row. But we do not have a solid, good working relationship with the provincial government relative to this particular subject, unless things have changed and that haven't come to council. I mean, it was disgraceful.
We got at the next PNP, we've got talking about the questions for the referendum. Maybe we can attach this to it, because it's the same basic issue. Read the questions, we're talking on where we should go next steps.
And I think, Your Worship, as well, probably that could also be included in what you have suggested, is that we, perhaps through staff, the administration, put together a chronology of things that have happened to give us give us the background of where we stand right now, and then we can take a look at where we have to go to mend those bridges or do whatever.
I think we might have a lot of that information from the last time that quite a few years ago when there was a threat of moving out and taking all the belongings and moving up to Fort St. John. I think it became clear at that time that all the fossils themselves belonged to the province and couldn't be moved by anyone unless they gave permission to move. So that's but we might already have some of that information here.
Yes, Councillor.
Yeah, so I'm looking for council's opinion here, which way we should go forward with this. Should we have a meeting that's just council first and get on the same page, or the round table? Myself, I prefer the round table. I'd like to get the answers from folks sitting at the table, and I know we're not all on the same page of which way we want to go with museum funding or for the whatever, but to me, that's what I'd like. I'd like to throw that motion out tonight, but before we throw that out there, if we want to have one previous to that, I'm open to that. But I want to hear from them firsthand. I want to have everybody in the same room so that there's none of this back and forth and he said, she said. It's the person is right there that you can ask the questions to. And that's why I've always consistently asked for that Bruce White, doesn't he?
Yeah.
To be there, because to me, he's the only guy that I've talked to that can give us the provincial side of it. And I know that, when we're asking these types of questions, he could be in there to give us the provincial take on it and say, yes, that stuff belongs to these guys, or that belongs to them, or that's their, or whatever you need. But, I think it would be helpful to all be in the same room and have that conversation. There may be some very easy things to overcome in the beginning stages to get back on track here, rather than making a hard stand on this is what we want and it's only this way or the highway. I'd like to hear what their ideas are as well. So what is council's feeling on that? We've been beating this thing around here for a while. We gave them the $50,000 in funding. As far as I'm concerned, that isn't exactly what we wanted from the funding to go through for the summer. But
Well, we're kind of off topic here now, but I think this is a discussion that should be had with council, maybe on that PMP.
Okay.
And it's the next PMP, so we'll have that tacked onto that talk we have on the referendum. Sean?
So I do like Councillor Howell's suggestion of us going forward too with the round table. So the next PMP, maybe we can, because I would really like to see us go to the Pearl events at UBCM with something that's where we've unified and come to an agreement. So if we do the PMP in July, with the tentative date of August, bringing all of us together.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where it goes.
Okay.
Okay. 6.7, City of New Westminster, changes to the Strata Property Act. Information discussion. Casey?
Move for information.
Second. Guy? All in favor? Bylaws. Zoning amendment bylaw number 665, 2018, license amendment bylaw number. Is this all one here, Mr. Wall, or is that the way we're doing this?
You'll have to read these out one at a time because of first and second readings.
Okay, for item number 665, recommendation number 1. I guess I'll read the whole bunch out right now and then.
You can do all the first readings together in one, and then do the second readings together if you wish.
I don't like it done like this. It should be separated. Zoning amendment bylaw number 665, 2018, business license amendment bylaw number 666, 2018. Recreational cannabis bylaw number 667, 2018, and municipal ticketing information bylaw number 668, 2018. And I got recommendations there. I get those. Councillor Mackay? You're number one?
I thought you, okay, right. Recommend that the District of Council, the District of Tumble Ridge zoning amend bylaw number 665, 2018, to be read for the first time.
Seconder for that? Councillor Howe? Discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Recommendation number 2. Councillor Mackay?
Recommend the District of Tumble Ridge zoning amendment bylaw number 665, 2018, read for the second time.
Seconder, Councillor Cochran. Discussion on it? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Recommendation number 3.
That the District of Tumble Ridge Business License Amendment Bylaw Number 666, 2018 be read a first time.
Councillor Kirby. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Recommendation number 4. Councillor Kirby.
The District of Tumblr Ridge Business License Amendment Bylaw number 666, 2018 be read a second time.
Seconder, Councillor Kaka. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Recommendation number 5. Councillor Mackay.
That the District of Tumble Ridge recreational cannabis consumption bylaw number 667, 2018, be read for the first time.
Seconder? Councillor Kirby. Discussion? Councillor Howe.
So I just have a question on 3.3, page 56. So maybe this wording just needs to be changed a little bit, or maybe it's okay the way it is, I don't know. Recreational cannabis consumption is permitted by bylaw on all private property, privately owned property within the district unless otherwise regulated by another government agency. So my concern there is somebody's walking down the street and they're able to leave our public property and step onto somebody's private property and consume cannabis without being allowed on that private property. For instance, somebody's doesn't live in that house and they could walk onto the front lawn. Is there any way we can change that wording so that's not, like, do you have to be permitted?
You're on page 56.
Yeah, 56, 3.3.
Right at the top.
My page 56 on there. Oh, okay, 55, yeah. Permitted by bylaw on all practical property within the district. So it's, we could put that it's with the permission of the owner, but we regulate the public spaces, so the private property, if you're doing something on the private property that you're not allowed to, it's not a bylaw infraction, that would be a criminal infraction. It'd be trespassing.
Like, cause I just, perceive the idea of somebody's smoking and they see the RCMP coming down the road, they can step onto somebody's lawn and say, hey, I'm okay here because I'm not walking down your street anymore. It makes it very difficult for them to enforce if they're, it's an empty house, who's gonna say, the person that owns that house might be in Kamloops or whatever, they're not gonna be able to, there might be,
That you could add with permission of the owner.
okay, I'd be comfortable with that.
So you actually have it on page 62. States it in the dark block, and it says it in regards to the property owner's permission. Just wondering if the same thing with Captain House, and just wondering if it was missed in that wording.
It wasn't missed in the wording, it's been in the public notice, it's put in there to make it clear so that people understand you can't just go. But again, when we're talking about bylaw enforcement, if somebody leaves public property to do something on private property which they're not invited, it's trespassing, and now they're into a criminal offense, which is gonna be much more serious than the bylaw infraction. So it's up to council, if you wanna add it in there for extra clarification, it doesn't make a difference.
I think you're right, I think, and it's on here, I hope we add it in, it seems, that'd be pretty simple to fix.
We can add that, I can vote along with this one tonight.
So that's an amendment. Yeah. So, seconder for that amendment? Discussion on the amendment? Favor? Opposed? Carried. You, understand what we're doing? Okay, thank you. Okay, got it. Any more discussion on it? Number 5. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Number 6. Councilor Scott?
That the District of Tumble Ridge Recreational Cannabis Consumption Bylaw number 667, 2018 be read a second time.
Councilor Trarka? All, any discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. So what, when we were doing that, Mr. Wall, we're voting on the amended.
That's correct.
Okay, number 7. Councilor Kirby?
That the District of Tumble Ridge Recreational Cannabis Consumption Bylaw number 667, 2018 be read a third time.
Seconder? Councilor Trarka? Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Number 8. Casey?
The District of Tumble Ridge Municipal Ticketing Information Amendment Bylaw number 668, 2018 be read the first time.
Seconder? Scott? Discussion? Councilor Howell?
So 668, and then it's pages 59, 60, and 61, talk about bylaw 667. Is this the correct time to ask about that, or you got mixed up on here? My question is on page 61. We may have already gone through this because of the last one we read on 667. On page 61, we talked about consume recreational cannabis in a prohibited area, and the fine is $230. Is that a typo there? Is that supposed to be $250? Because we don't have anything in our fine documents that are an oddball number like 30. I think it's multiples of 50.
So this was to mirror the provincial fine for open alcohol.
Okay.
Anything else? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Number 9. Councilor Scott?
That the District of Tumble Ridge Municipal Ticketing Information Amendment Bylaw number 668, 2018 be read a second time.
Seconder? Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Councilor Kirby?
That the District of Tumble Ridge Municipal Ticketing Information Amendment Bylaw number 668, 2018 be read a third time.
Seconder? Okay. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, then, it's in our business. 2017 annual report, recommendation there. Councilor Casey?
The council approves the annual report for the year ending December 31st, 2017.
Seconder for that? Yeah. Discussion on it? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Number 2, 2017 statement of financial information, the Sophie report. Recommendation there? Councilor Kirby?
the council approves the 2017 Statement of Financial Information as presented.
Seconder? Councilor Straka? Discussion? Councilor Straka?
I just have one question. In the wages, does that include OT hours?
Yes.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 8.3, climate action review incentive report. Recommendation. Receive for information. Does anybody have anything?
For information, your worship.
Seconder? Aye. All in favor? Carried. 8.4, Number Ridge Health Needs Committee. Recommendation. Okay.
The council approves the Tumble Ridge Health Needs Committee terms of reference as presented.
Seconder? Discussion?
I have a quick question.
Scott?
With this going forward, will we need the Building Healthy Communities Committee? Because I know that the terms of reference were similar and I know this year when it's more specific or whatever, but it's drawing kind of from the same people. So,
I asked that question when you asked me the first
Yes.
time, a while ago, and the answer was that the Healthy Needs Committee is available to accept grants, or I don't know if the sub would be. Mr. Wall, can you explain that any more better than I did just say?
The healthy, I would have to take a look into the grants that have been applied for and the differences in the terms. So if they're both committees of council, it shouldn't make a difference to which ones can apply for grants and which ones can't. But the Healthy Needs Committee may have something different in their terms of reference. I'd have to double check.
I just know one of the partners to accept or receive the grants is a Northern Health representative. And I think Peter, you guys have been in touch with him. He wasn't familiar with the Building Healthy Communities Committee, like we were always having trouble getting somebody, but now we do have a representative. So he wasn't on the last call. So but it's just, seems to be a duplicate, in my opinion.
Can we get staff to look into that and see if they can come up with reasons why we should have those two committees, or just one?
More of a political decision than an administrative decision. We could take a look at what the terms of reference are, tell you what the overlap is, but whether or not council wants to have two or one, that would be what council finds useful.
I just want to make sure that we're not missing something that the Health Communities Committee is doing that we're not going to be doing with the Health Needs Committee. We're looking at, basically, I think the discussion is what the town needs for in the way of medical and health needs. Healthy communities, does that involve going out exercising? Is that involved in that?
I think it was the overall, like there was a family needs and then the Building Health Communities Committee. So we amalgamated both of them because the terms of reference were similar. Family needs was basically the wants that wasn't able to access grants. So with the other one, you have to have somebody from Northern Health and all of the Imagine grants. There's various grants that Northern Health puts out there. That's why the Building Healthy Communities stay.
Well, why don't we take that to our next meeting and discuss it with, we've got Peter there and Dr. Helm, now will be there.
Yes, because Dr. Helm is on this one, Barb Shurkamp, Angela, like there's quite a cross of different organizations from the community. So, and we are like a small community, so, you know, having a duplicate of people on a committee as well as counselors.
Yeah.
I think Councilor Kirkhope is still on the Building Health Communities as well. I just don't want to see, you know, people getting a meeting dealt and having two committees doing, similar things.
Okay, we'll take that
Okay.
as, to the next meeting. and
Okay,
see what-
perfect.
Yes.
Just a question on that to Councillor Scott. So there were two reports.
The Building Healthy Communities Committee has been going for 6 years, I think it was
Sure.
prior to myself. Now we have the new Healthy Committee that we're looking at the terms of reference, but it's looking at, councillor representatives, Northern Health. So I don't want to duplicate like two committees,
And I understand that.
yes.
So the idea is to put the two committees together
Or disband one,
or disband them.
yeah, like whichever one is going to be more beneficial.
Fair enough. Yeah, thank you.
The reason we came up with, the help, the medical leads or the committee was back a few months ago, we all of a sudden found out that the health center was in bad shape. We had some nurse problems, we had a lot of problems with the health center, so that's when we decided we better be involved here. And that's why we built that one. But it seemed like some of the things that were issues weren't things that
Well,
building health communities.
when we had our strategic planning session prior to Christmas, I think I brought the need, with the lack of some professional services as being a priority, and that became our top one for this year. So, but I think some of the things we were asking for when we were bringing Northern Health and some of the medical professionals in that are here, some of the issues have been resolved, so.
And I don't
Like,
know. if
it's something we need to keep addressing, but like I said, it's better if we focus, we not have too many trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, so we'll bring that up.
Perfect.
Councillor, you had something?
I did not.
Just, your worship, while we're on the topic, is the Tumbler Ridge Health Needs Committee wanting to meet this Thursday at 10?
If it did, if you, I won't be there. And, we had an issue with a staff member that we were going to have,
So we had a contractor hired, that person's now left the position to take full-time employment elsewhere, and the committee's going to need to provide direction on what we're doing to find that person. So, yeah, I'm still waiting for that direction, yes.
I know Peter, that, that he wasn't gonna be around this Thursday either, so.
He's able to call in for this meeting, if the committee's going to have one. I need that direction. It doesn't have to be now, I'm just putting it out there.
I won't be available this Thursday.
We'll put it up.
We had a list of questions for them as well that we were looking for answers. Do we have the answers to those questions?
We've got someone working on it, yeah.
So, we've got a motion on the floor, I think.
Yes, to adopt the terms of reference.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Capital project, Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Recommendation there. That's Casey.
Move the recommendation as presented, your worship.
Seconder, Councilor discussion. Councilor Hall.
So I prefer that we didn't do this master plan. I prefer that we take this on internally. $120,000 to get somebody to tell us how to build parks and recreation in our community. To me, I think the money is better spent to put $120,000 back into parks and recreation in our community rather than get somebody to give us some work on. So this finding a qualified contractor, I mean, what are we looking for here? We're looking to connect our trails in town and come up with a plan for the entire community. To me, it's gonna be another one of those things that we spend $120,000 on, sit it on the shelf, and nothing gets done from it anyways. Or we pick apart parts of it that we don't like anyways, because we have the professional local knowledge on the stuff. To me, I think we're better off just to save that money and, run this back to staff and say, what are we missing out on? What are we, if we don't do this, what are we missing?
Well, I know that we've come into quite a few issues because we didn't have a plan. here. We, I can't remember them right now, but you could get them. But, I don't know how many times it came. The reason this didn't work right is because we didn't have a recreation plan. So I support this. I think we need it. I don't support spending $120,000 if you don't have to, but I do think this is very important. Councilor Scott.
Did we have a Parks and Rec plan in previous years, like previous to the first downturn?
We had it quite a while ago. It's been a while. It was, I think it was probably shut down at the first downturn and then was never revived. 'Cause we had actually a board, Parks and Rec board. They worked off the plan.
Or looking at some of the other communities, seeing something that's already been tested, like is there not a reason, like, I too think 120,000 is steep to put a plan, and it's depending on who the contractor is. But is there a way we can do some homework and see if we can't revise our old one?
I don't think,
Just a couple things. So I'm not aware of a master plan, and neither is Ms. Mackay. So if there is one, it would be from a long time ago. Just McKay, sorry. Just to,
You felt that, didn't
I
you?
did, yeah. And just a reminder to council, you increased the amount of this when we got a grant from UBCM for $70,000. So we do have a significant amount of this covered through a grant.
I just say it again, that it's come up with issues. And I guess one of the things when we're talking our pathways, the request was, well, don't we have a plan? And we don't have a plan. So we should have, especially if we have to do it. That's great.
Thank you, Your Worship. When we were in St. John, New Brunswick, we met with their mayor and council, and we were talking about how we were going to be looking at a recreation master plan, and they shared theirs with us. And I read through it, and it seems, I mean, if we look over one that's already existing, I'm pretty sure we're small enough community that we don't have some of the major problems that bigger centers do. But I think we could build a good plan, just kind of looking at theirs, and it doesn't have to be theirs. It could be another template. And I think the costs, and then again, a lot of ours comes with our community center and just our thoughts around that. I think even going to the original contractor and telling him how we want to change it, that could be just a way to go on that side. So I think we could probably look into this a little bit more before we jump on board and just send out a request for proposal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's is gonna echo what I was just gonna bring up is, I mean, I think a lot of the work's already done. The original OCP does touch on some of that stuff that we're gonna pay money to do it again. And as Councillor Kirby said, we got a lot of pretty valuable information there for St. John, just and how they done theirs. So I think combining the two, maybe, and that was information that Mrs. McKay didn't have at the time. So maybe if, that should all be maybe compiled and maybe look over and just see what the amount of work we actually do have to do. Might not be that much.
Anybody else? All in favor of this? Opposed? Defeated. Sale of advertising policy, 21.
The council rescind the last amended June 21st, 2010 and mid 21 policy sale of advertising and adopt the attached admin 21 policy sale of advertising as presented.
Seconder? Okay. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Sale of advertising policy, amendment 26. Councilor McKay?
Council adopt admin 26 policy, the in-ice sale of advertising as presented, and the council approve the fees and charges as outlined in the policy, and that administration include the amendments to the fees and charges bylaw 623.
Seconder, Councilor Kaka? discussion on it? Councilor Howell?
Page 6 and page 166 and 167. That's the hockey logo layout. So locations that are not available, talks about C1 versus the Raptors logo in the center of the ice, which I think Councillor Scott got that ball rolling on that. We voted on that was a good deal. I don't understand E and F. I don't understand why the Geopark and the district needs to go onto the ice surface. Last year they were on the ice surface. One of the locations makes it difficult to pick pucks up on the blue line. That's location E, which worked good for me as a forward, but not so good for defenseman. But could we not take those signs, the district and Geopark sign, make one sign, hang those ones in the arena, and never have to continuously buy that print that goes onto the ice and tear it up when the ice melts? Just have one that goes up on the wall. You know, like similar to what, you know, other communities have. They'll have their flags up in other arenas, like the Canadian flag and the coat of arms and the British Columbia flag or whatever. And then they'll have sometimes have a picture of the Queen in arenas and stuff like that. But we could have our district logo and Geopark logo hung on the wall in there. That way we don't have to waste the money year over year over year. And it also opens up advertising space as what we call prime locations or whatever, or they're similar to.
So you're not saying to get rid of those?
Yeah, just don't put them on the ice. Just put them up on the wall so we don't have to.
But the E and F would still be there?
Yeah, yeah. But they're for sale, right? So.
Councilor McKay?
What about the boards themselves? I mean, a lot of arenas advertise right on the boards, and boy, there's nothing better or more front and center than that. So, I mean, is that something we've never considered, or?
So from what I recall about the discussion on the boards is that when you put the panel on the board, you got to put like an additional sheet over top of it, or you get an edge or something where the puck can bounce off of. So that's why they have to put edging all the way around the arena when they put that in. Or unless they sink it back in or something like that. But I think that's why we stayed away from doing it on the boards. I don't know, maybe there's a better way to do it, maybe we do stickers or something now or whatever, but that's why we went away from the boards originally.
Did see it in other arenas, and it's like a rounded, you know, inserted.
Yeah.
But that could be right.
Okay, so you make an amendment to?
Yeah, I just want to, council's thoughts on it. What do you think? I mean, does that make more sense to have it not on the ice and on the walls instead? If we're going to do it at all in the arena, like.
Make an amendment and then I'll second it and then.
Okay. So make the amendment to remove the locations of the district and the Geopark off the ice, and instead allow them an area on the walls along with the Canadian flag and stuff.
Seconder for that? Councilor Kirby? Any other discussion on it? Councilor McKay?
And are we doing away with those ice positions for renting? Is that
No,
part of the?
It'd still be there for rent.
Okay, yeah, great.
Okay, all in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Carried. Okay, now, for the motion that's on the floor, any more discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Appointment of animal control contractor. Recommendation. Councilor Trevor.
Council appoints Alan Beal to the Visitor Animal Control Office contractor for the District of Tumbleweed.
Seconder. Got it. Discussion. Councilor.
So I'm just curious, how does staff go about like checking this person out? How does the staff get like WCB from this person and that type of stuff and criminal record check? Is that stuff all conducted before this person's selected?
Mr. Wall?
That's correct.
All those are?
WCB, liability insurance, and criminal record check, yes.
Councilor Scott?
And I just have one question. If this person isn't like our staff, I'm just wondering why it has to come to council for us to approve it, just to clarify that.
Mr. Wall?
Because they have powers to give out tickets, and council needs to approve the people who have the ability to do that.
Just thank you, worship. So I noticed the gentleman's already been out working and stuff like that. My question is, when it first came up, there was an email sent around because we couldn't find a dog catcher or animal control officer, so fire department took it over. Mr. Curry took it over for the time being to fill the position. And I sent an email out asking why I couldn't be with bylaw. To me, my understanding, that was gonna come back for discussion. But it hasn't come back for discussion because we've hired somebody. That was what it said in the email. When I forwarded that on asking about why was that a bylaw position, why could that be added, it was gonna come back for discussion.
So I sent an email out to council, answering your questions about the different methods that it would be. And I informed council that we currently had a competition out, and that if council didn't want us to move forward with hiring someone, they should give us direction by a certain date, and staff received no direction.
Pretty hard to give direction via email, I believe.
That's correct. There was a number of council meetings, and I informed council if we're going to get direction, we need it by a certain date. Council provided no direction, so we move forward with this budgeted position.
When did the job close? Because I believe our meeting was pushed back due to no quorum.
11th of May.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? You opposed?
Opposed.
Defeated. Which one?
Worship, what was the vote?
It was 3 to 4.
Four, not in favor, 3 in favor?
3 in favor and 4 opposed, yeah. Okay, Canada Day fireworks display. Recommendation there? Councilor Howell?
The council approves closure of Monkman Way as per the map in Appendix A from 1800 hours until the end of fireworks display July 1st, 2018.
Seconder? Councilor Kirby? Discussion on it? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. High-speed internet to homes. Any recommendation there?
The council supports a grant application to the NDIT for a project to bring high-speed internet to residential areas in Tumbler Ridge, and that council supports a grant application to the Rural Dividend Fund to bring high-speed internet to residential areas in Tumbler Ridge.
Seconder for that? Councilor Jaka? Discussion? Councilor Howell?
Just what, we talked about the last mile, can you just explain to me what the last mile is? Is it literally an area that we have to connect to the town to make it work, or is it the connection from each home to the circuit? Like, what is that last mile?
It's the connection to each home. So we have high-speed internet into the community. We have it to the community center, and there's, I think, a couple other businesses that have got it to their areas as well. The last mile is getting it from to the community to the houses, to residents.
They've had this before, but we didn't qualify, and I think they've changed it or something now.
There was a different program, and when Walter Energy upgraded the speeds in Tumbler Ridge, when this program came out before, we had just passed that threshold of being too fast to get it. This is a different program. This is NDIT and then rural dividend funding, so it's different criteria.
And they said, we discussed it at CGLA, and they said, for the type of community this is targeted. Councilor Scott?
Will most of the expense be covered by the dividend fund then?
What?
Most of the expense to bring this in?
Well, I don't know if it'd be most of it, but once we know for sure that it's going in, we'll know what it's gonna cost, and we'll be able to move on that.
And it talks about the residential areas, economic diversification, but it talks about the residential areas. What do we have set up for the business areas? Like, is it over by like Northern Metallic in the commercial park area and out towards like Southpaw Finning and then the heavy industrial park? Is there any?
So the goal is to provide connectivity to everybody. We need to work out some of the logistics, which is one, the map of where it's actually gonna go. Two, does the district get into assisting business if we take it straight to there, or will business have to contribute to some of their own last mile connectivity? I'm not sure on those, that's some of the questions we still have to answer.
But it may include the entire community, right? Like,
That's correct.
And that includes, okay, good.
But right now, I think some of the businesses do have, they paid to put it in.
I believe that some do, yes.
I know CNR had to do some of their communications. I'm not sure, but I'm sure the mine does. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Schedule of meetings. Anybody wanna add anything or change anything? Seeing none? Okay, notice of motion. From the Unbridge Healthy Needs Committee. You get that, Councilor McCarthy?
We can move as presented.
Okay. Seconder? Councilor Kirk. Discussion on? it? All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Building Healthy Communities Committee. Scott.
Okay, there's going to be a diabetic health fair presented in August. It's actually August 26th. It's a Sunday, and it's going to be a free event to all of Temple Ridge. I think they're planning or guesstimating 200 people attending. I think all of the health professionals in Temple Ridge are participating, as well as eye care coming from Dawson Creek. There's some professionals coming from Fort St. John. I've got the draft itinerary. There's going to be door prizes, lunch supplied by the Lions. And what they were asking at the last Building Healthy Communities meeting was assistance in funding. And there has been $5,000 sitting in the Building Healthy Communities Committee for the whole time we haven't accessed any of it. So I put a motion forward that they get the balance of the money to cover the cost, because I think they have it at about $32,500 right now, $3,250. So I thought if we contribute that money to cover the expenses of bringing these people in. It's going to be a clinic that checks blood glucose levels, blood pressure checks, foot care, plus there's going to be vendor set up. So it's going to be a really interesting day for anyone that participates. So that's what this motion is all about.
Casey?
Thank you. Councilor Scott, just as a overall question, is the major subject is everything pertaining to diabetes?
Diabetes and basically healthy eating, exercise, because all of that healthy food. The Good Food Box will be set up there selling their cookbooks and will be a fundraiser for them, which they run now through, like it's actually something that went from a family partnership with the local food store, and then it's now run by the food bank. So it's something that moved from, being a volunteer organization to something that's sustainable and is continuing to grow. So it'll be a really good event.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that's a motion you made this.
Yes.
Okay, a seconder for that? Councilor Katie. Any more discussion on it? All in favor? Vote carried. My motion for 9.3, council approves travel costs, not including hotel, for mayor and person to attend a meeting on Caribou Recovery and Bridge Storage on June 14th with businesses.
June 14th or July 14th?
I'd say I've got the date here wrong, I think. But it's
Oh,
Wednesday,
was I a week behind? June 21st, sorry.
June 21st. I haven't been there yet. Yes. Seconder for that? I've actually put myself in the middle of this terrible recovery thing pretty big time, and I'm on board from the committee from the district, working on it, and numerous phone calls and all that. Trying to stay on top of it because it's really going to affect us here. And we did pass a recommendation at FCM that communities, they're going to take to the federal government that communities should be involved in SAR negotiations, and so that's what we're trying to get here. I've been involved in some really terrible phone calls that are, and I don't know the people that are on there too, but they'll ask the question, how come you haven't shut down logging yet? Things that are just ridiculous. And so I do want to stay on top of this, and that's why I want to get that. It's with Kofi. Hey, Councilor McKay.
Yeah, and I really appreciated the words that you said there when you went up at the FCM and spoke to every municipality across Canada, and you kind of separated facts from fiction, and that some of these herds that are suffering have absolutely no industrial activity at all. So you can't really relate it to industry, which so many people are trying to do, and you've done that very well. So you're probably the right guy for doing that. So.
Yeah, it was 76% in favor of that.
Yeah.
The people, and this is the scary part, the people that spoke against it are southern neighbors in BC. Councilor Scott?
I was also going to just comment on that, and that I think it's really important that the communities, it is going to directly affect, be at the table, and that's what that resolution was bringing those communities, because it directly affects them. Like, it'll make the difference between ghost towns and towns that can be sustainable.
Hey, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Guess that takes us to council's business. Anybody got anything they'd like to share?
Just like to council, just maybe a couple things I've noticed here tonight and some insight from people in the community. So perhaps we need to have a little look at what is actually happening with bylaw. Maybe we need to see a report on where we are today, halfway through the year. What have we seen in bylaw for ticketing? I know there's a lot of concern around the community on site premises. A lot of people are talking about the long grass and the dandelions. There's some complaints about our garbage cans. This ties into with the dog catcher, animal control person. Maybe if we had an idea of how many tickets have been issued, how much they've issued it for. Just, I don't know, discussion I think I'd like to throw out there to you guys. Maybe that's part of our solution, is to see what we have done with bylaw and where we are. Is there any flavor to do that, to look at where we are with it?
Would it be something that you'd want to bring to a P&P?
Not so much. Just look for, we do got to come up with an animal control solution here tonight, right? Or at some point. So having that information would help me make the decision of how busy we are or not. So.
I know we've addressed a lot of our bylaws because this council wanted to strengthen a lot of our bylaws. We have done that. But to tell you how many tickets have been given out, I sure couldn't tell you that. Mr. Wall, do you have any suggestions?
Could tell you.
To come up with a report on that?
Just provide that direction and we'll do so.
Yeah, so I'd like to put that motion on the floor if I can then, that ask staff to prepare a report detailing how many bylaw tickets have been issued and by who, perhaps if that's possible to do as well, like, if it's only one person that's doing it, then, you know, I don't know. We understood we had 3 people that could issue tickets in town, and I don't know if that's how it works or not here, just looking for more clarity.
So I can, Your Worship, I can tell you what the tickets and the amount of tickets. If you want me to find out who's issued them, we're literally gonna have to look through every single ticket to find out who they were. So getting you numbers is going to be an easy, quick thing. If you want to know who's issued what tickets, that's gonna be a fairly long process to get.
But it'd be, okay, so many tickets were issued by the bylaw enforcement officer, and who else can issue tickets?
The head of protective services can issue tickets as well, so there's 2 people
So
within
you could just divide it up as those 2 positions, not a certain person.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that in order to do that, we're going to have to look at every single ticket that's been issued. So we have stats tracked right now that's going to be easy for us to get. This is the tickets that have been issued, this is the type of ticket that it is, but if you want me to find out who's issued the tickets, especially because we've had changeover in staff, we're going to have to look at every single ticket and find out who they were. So it's the difference between a quick report and this is a bigger project for the department.
Okay, I can withdraw that portion of the motion. I don't want to have a belabored amount of time for staff to do that. Maybe if we see the information, if it's 1,000 tickets, then I would understand where he's coming from. If he comes back and the report is 6, then it's a different story, right? But
I don't think that was part of the motion anyway.
okay,
You just wanted the
yeah, I think
information. John?
Would it be too much trouble to get the number of hours? Would that be an easy addition to that motion? The number of hours of bylaw, like put into to issuing the tickets or man hours?
it should be 40 hours a week.
Yeah, we have set time for bylaw. Yeah.
Nothing on that, it's just gonna have council's business.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to let council know that the Geopark's evaluation will take place between the 18th and the 22nd. The Geopark is looking to see if council would be interested to host a reception. During those days, they're kind of hoping it would be the 20th, 19th or the 20th, and that would be just getting representatives from local government, regional, provincial, TRMF, Wolverine Nordic Mountain Society, NVCT, DTR, just partners with the Geopark and just have something that would bring everyone together on the evening. So I don't know if we can talk about that tonight, or if that could be something that could come to the next meeting, which is getting fairly close. But if that would be something that council would think of, that would be good.
Councillor Casey.
You can certainly add about 50 that's what we have, could we not?
Is that enough time though with the next meeting?
So the revalidation is happening on July
18th, it's in between the 18th and the 22nd, but they're looking at the 19th or the 20th for the district to host a reception
So that
for the
would be,
delegates.
that would be a council, if you're gonna approve funds, which you're going to have to do this, and the PNP's on the 9th, I think that's a pretty tough order to ask us to turn around and organize something like this that quickly.
Well, in my opinion, this is a pretty big thing for the town, and I would like to see council support something maybe out at the golf course.
Easiest thing to do is probably give us the budget that you want to spend, and then we'll organize an event that can meet that budget.
Thank you, Your Worship. Forward to Mr. Wall, when we did the initial hosting for the event at the TRMF, what was that cost?
So the one that had the TRMF and then the golf course and the tours and everything.
Right, yeah, it wouldn't have to be that big, but just say that,
I think that was about 13,000 all told, but that was an event that had 90 people, helicopter tours, boat tours, and everything. If we're talking about a dinner for council and a few other people, I mean, 4,000 or 5,000 is going to cover it. What type of event is council looking for?
Thank you, Worship. I think what they're looking for is just a reception, a wine and cheese reception, just somewhere where everybody can meet and there can be a few speakers, and then that would be about it. I would think maybe roughly, I'm gonna guess 50 people, maybe less, something like that. Let's just go with that kind of a number.
So, you said, $4,000 or $5,000, so let's say we went with the $5,000 number and, got, Council Kirby to work with you and, come up with.
That'll work. What we're really gonna need help on is the guest list. The guest list is the most difficult thing to do, and it's gonna be very hard for me to say this person gets to come, this person doesn't get to come. So if that guest list is turned over to the Geopark to make, that makes our life a lot easier.
You okay with that?
I think 5,000 would be appropriate, up to 5,000. It doesn't mean that it would cost that much. I'll make that recommendation.
Okay, second for that. Council Howe? Any more discussion on it?
What's the recommendation?
The recommendation is for the District of Tumbler Ridge to host a reception either the 19th or 20th of July for the Geopark revalidation.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
I've got one more. Just on paving, would there be any chance or just a discussion on possibly, while we've got the paving happening, to look at doing, maybe completing some of our golf course paths? I don't know what the cost would be or the prep work, or, you know, if that was a possibility.
I would know. I don't think they use the same machinery on a golf course pass that they use on a street, so I don't know if that'd be a saving, you know. Probably something we'd be looking down the road in another budget. Council Howe?
Yeah, and my take on this, I'd actually rather see the road to golf course paved before I did see it for golf cart trails. It's in pretty rough shape there, but
Just a question.
yeah.
And one more thing, provincial parks, the boat launch at Bear Hole. I know we've talked about these kind of things, and that would be somebody else, you know, if we could get into contact with the staff of provincial parks, is that boat launch hasn't had anything done to it for so many years, even the road into it, and just any kind of care and maintenance. And, you know, we've had people I talked to that used it on the weekend for Father's Day. It's just like, why is nothing being done with our parks?
I've got, transportation, guy from Dawson Creek coming over for a meeting, so I can bring it up to him and.
Have your meeting in Barrel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Worship. Just on the asphalt thing, just wondering, like with the downtown core being done, I know coming in some nights for council meetings, or even just coming to pay your tax bill. When we still had our parking lot before it was torn over. Has the town looked at all, looking at maybe trying to do a small expansion over there with some angle stalls? I know it wasn't in our budget, but I mean, you must see that how jammed the parking lot is, and then everybody parks around the side here, including our own district vehicles. Is that something that can be discussed or not?
Expanding the town hall parking lot.
Yeah, like whether they went over another spot there so they could do angles. I know that's a lot that we own.
Sorry, are you talking about expanding the parking lot back here or somewhere else?
This side of the building, the empty lot.
So right now, that lot is for sale. We could take a look at subdividing it and including it in this parcel. That would be something the council would have to give direction to do. I mean, it's our land, so we could just extend the parking in there and then subdivide it later.
And I'll come talk to you. I mean, like I said, it was just a short thing today when I showed up today and walked over. I thought it's already there, so I'll just come in and maybe we can make him. Because I heard these guys are gonna be here for a couple months anyways.
Okay. Now, just to let council know, the paving, what's going to attempt to happen this year is not like last year where everything's stripped, everything's done, and then everything's paved. It's gonna be done in phases. So we might need to talk about this sooner rather than later, because it won't be like last year where everything is done at once. It's gonna be done in phases.
Council Casey was,
I think we should just take a comment with regards to the paving, if we were to pave, put it this way, with all of the paving that we're doing now, should we not ensure that all the paving that is required to be done is done now? I'm thinking in terms it's never going to get any cheaper, less expensive or whatever. So shouldn't we be able to say our paving is finished up to this particular point in time? Is that worthwhile to do as opposed to doing something different or whatever? I don't know the cost involved other than it just strikes me that we're gonna pave it, bite the bullet now, pave everything.
yeah,
So I'm not sure.
Council Howe mentioned something this morning, I think, that you want to talk about.
Yeah, I know, just in regards to what Councilor Casey's talking about, you're referring to the golf course road?
Like, just everything that we would like to see paved, it just strikes me, everything is here now to be done.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cheaper to do it now?
My take on it is we dropped the ball on the golf course road. If that's something we wanted to have done, we should have had that prepped and looked at previous. Now we're gonna pay high price if we ask them to come in and change the way that we're asking them to pave it. They may have their whole summer booked, and we throw something at them like that as a wrench. I mean, that's on us for not seeing that road previous to this, if that's something we wanted to fix, but as with the back parking lot, my opinion on the back parking lot is too small as well. Like it is difficult to get in here. I've been down here twice where you've got to go park over in the res can or something like that, right? Paying taxes and the same thing. So
Well, we're still gonna have other paving going on in other years, so that can't go backwards.
Picking up paving like the golf course road, I agree that's not something we want to do. That needs a whole look at it. If you want to talk about expanding the parking lot, now would be the time to do it. Not if you want to pave it and expand it later, it's going to be a patchwork and you're going to rip up things that you've just paved. So just for clarification, council's talking about expanding the parking lot this way. I mean, there's a space this way and there's space this way that doesn't cut into those other lots. So
And I think what we were talking about was back, so that you have more room to park that kind of thing.
closer towards the Legion, you mean?
yeah, or just whatever's the easiest. Like leave it up to staff to maybe come back with an idea. I know what Councilor Grokowka's talking about going that direction would give us more parking, but can we go further back or could we go this way? I don't know which way we can go. We don't got to cut up land and do that stuff. If there's a way that you guys can find something to make the stalls a little bit longer, like a long box truck getting in there, she's a 15-point turn to get in there if you don't run into somebody while you're doing it, right? So
If council wants us to expand the town hall parking lot, that's not an issue, just provide that direction. I will say it's going to be expensive. Right now, we haven't had to replace most of the curb and we had planned to use it, so whichever direction we're going to be expanding, we're gonna have to do curb. And if we're talking about making it longer this way for easier for trucks to get in and adding spaces over this way, we're gonna be replacing all of that curb and it's going to add up very quickly. But if that's something council wants to do, again, it's better to do it now and get that direction now than to pave it, and then that cost gets very, very expensive to redo later. So it's something that council can certainly do, give us direction, and today would be the best time. Next meeting, we might still be able to do it as well.
Councilor Kirk.
So, yeah, I kind of agree with that, like some of the trucks getting into the back and stuff. Reason I'm saying this side, I think it's more for residents of Belleville Park here to come into town.
Yeah.
To me, I believe, and I could be wrong, I haven't seen these, I believe the curb is already pulled up on that side.
So
Or
yeah,
most
you're
of the
talking,
curbs.
oh, I see, you're talking about angling it in that way.
Yeah, like do angle stalls. Hey, I mean, you could probably, like, again, I'm not giving direction or single direction, but you could probably fit 10 stalls there on an angle parking. And to me, I believe the curb's already gone on that side there.
Yeah.
So you're gonna replace the curb anyways.
So, but that area over there, I think, is a separate lot, and we'd have to carve that piece off the lot.
Yeah.
I think there's some lot issues in that back area anyways, if I recall. But maybe a short-term solution, a cheaper solution would be, how often do we need this parking lot? And if it's just for a council meeting, is it a spot, we use it for pushing snow up over here. Would that be totally out of left field to have like an overflow parking lot that's just, gravel parking lot, or crushed asphalt, or something that's cheaper? I mean, I don't know.
I find it's not just council meetings. You come in, and obviously staff's parked behind there, anybody coming here is parking right out here, and it's not even a parking zone.
Mhm.
Why do- Come in to pay taxes or come in and whatever, it has nothing to do with council. I don't know, I just thought about it today when I walked over, seeing it ripped up.
I don't know, it seems like one of these things that, gets thrown out there, and usually when we end up wishing we had started on, I thought it.
It's costly when we throw them out too.
So,
I got one other question about paving that we're on to it though.
Yeah.
So there are new places on some of the streets that they're doing the paving on. For instance, the intersection that's tore up that we repave for the Visitor Information Center. And then also towards the HD housing project down there. That's all new pavement down there. Although that is part of Northgate. Are we tearing up those portions of the asphalt too, or are they gonna just patch into those?
I'll have to take a look at what exactly is being done. The end of Northgate that was just, or Southgate, sorry, that was just recently paved, no, that's not gonna be paved, but some of those intersections, it might be that we're taking it all out and repaving that. I'm not sure, I'll get back to you.
Okay, so the stuff down by HD, likely not, by the high
Really,
school.
that big strip?
Yes.
No, that's
Good
not
to
gonna
know.
be repaved.
But maybe the portion in front of they won't be able to patch into that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate, okay.
Councilor Kirby?
Thank you, Your Worship. Back onto the paving again. Just how you were explaining, Mr. Wall, about how the paving is gonna be different this year, I'm just kind of wondering how that might, like timelines, because we have, when Grisfest hits Tumblr long weekend in August, what the road situation is gonna be like, I guess we can't really see, or is there any way that we can kind of maybe make sure that at least we have one clear path down?
So we are working with the knowledge that Grisfest is happening is gonna be a high traffic area, so we're gonna do our best to make sure that that area is open, but I'm not gonna make any promises right now. It's gonna depend a lot on what we see when the streets come up, how much underground repair needs to happen, and how quickly that happens, so.
Okay, well, one thing I wanted to say, when we did our tour of the Stonehammer down in Brunswick, there was really nice to see. I don't think they have as much to offer people as we have, but they do it in a very good way. I'll use this word again, they work together, and see, everybody has the same story, and it's sure an angle we should be working to get to, because everybody, I don't know, I'm pretty sure you get the same. Councilor Kirby has said, everybody was proud of what they were showing us. You gotta, I mean, they're all different people, and it's pretty nice to be involved in that. It was a well worth a day, because we saw what it could be, and I'm sure we'll get there. And they did say they had their issues too at the beginning, so and they worked through them. So,
Yeah, and also and that was it. They did have the same issues that we had, and kind of got over that. But just to watch how everybody endorsed everyone else like avidly. I mean, these guys were all working for each other. It was fantastic. And then even a little book here that I asked if we could bring back and take a look at. And this is something they give to the grade 4 students in their schools. And the kids themselves are so in on this, so they're actually asking for the UNESCO, the Geopark staff to come and give different explanations of what takes place. And although what you can see is pretty, it's like a children's book, but in here it talks avidly about coal mining for a coal-fired electric plant that are generators that are now they're now decommissioned, but also the different things that take place. That shows you that they're teaching that industry does exist in geoparks.
I thought it was kind of neat when they showed those books. They target grade 4s. They said if they give those say grade 7ers, they won't even make it home. The grade 4 will take it home and bring it there back down. Yeah, it was. I thought we got a lot out of it. Okay.
Sorry, Right Worship, to go after you, but I wasn't sure when it was coming in. I just have a couple things, and I did forward an email that came from Ms. Ernest in regards to the budget for Success by 6 and Child's First. it looks like through the government there was talks about how they were gonna move forward or not, and which direction the groups wanted to go. Well, sounds like they made a choice, and it could be the end of their budget for this budget will be the last one ending in March of 2019. Not to get into the whole budget, but I did talk to Colin this afternoon as I missed the meeting for whatever reason. My alarm didn't go off. So I was at the store and then she told me afterwards, but they're going to be coming in with a presentation because they are going to be looking. There's some ideas for funding from our side that they're hoping that maybe council, and maybe it might not be us, but the next council will help support some of the programs they do, which they do a ton. So it's a really big thing. So, and then the other thing I have to ask Mr. Wall, in regards to the development down below, are they coming back in to lay some soil? Because man, that hydro seed sure didn't grow on rocks like I said it would.
So we have been in discussion with them, and discussions are ongoing. They've been reminded of their commitment under the contract. Maybe I'll send an email to council updating rather than discuss it.
Yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, no problem. I appreciate that. The other thing was I got to accompany Councillor Howe out to the Miko wind farm there. Council was way down in sunny Halifax eating lobsters, but we went out to present them a picture with a small plaque from council and from the district of Tunbridge for some of the contributions, and which was in regards to money towards the Tunbridge Museum, and then the cook shack out at Moose Lake. I'm hoping this guy's not watching the video because I really don't remember his name. It came up from the States. I'm sure Councilor Howard does. I'm very bad with names, but well received. They really asked more of what they could do for us. And then we turn it back to them again and saying, well, what can we do for you? It's kind of like a partnership thing, and got along really well. Kind of talked to them a bit about how we were looking at doing signage, and they were going to be part of the new, possibly part of the new welcome signs. This gentleman that was out of the States, I said to him, there was this talk, and we kind of just threw it around that we thought trying to attach a windmill for lighting and blah. He's in. This gentleman is willing to come and help with whatever we need help with. So I believe David's the one that's out overseeing the organization out there. But this guy said they could help, and I'm not saying money, but like he said that maybe they could supply some of the backup power points.
Expertise.
And expertise. And yes, don't do that. But we could you could put a windmill on there. It look like it's actually charging your batteries, but it's not. And you have solar on the back end. But they were really intrigued about that, or he was. So, Councillor Howell did message him next time it comes up that, there's other things to do, like going up the river and Moose Lake and Gwillem Lake. So he talked about next time it comes up to spend a couple extra days in Tunbridge to tour.
And to add to that too, he also thanked, I think it was Mr. Curry for going out and helping out
Yes.
with the guys out there doing some training. I'm not exactly sure what was going on there, but he said that was well received, and he said that's the type of community relationships they like to see. So it was a win-win for all, and I know there was some also discussion about community forest fighting equipment that they were looking at possibly getting in cahoots with a bunch of communities. So that if there's a forest fire in the area, we can dispatch this community forest fighting equipment, and basically big sprinkler systems, the way I understood it. But they were looking to get that in place so they can protect their asset as well. So some good stuff came out of that.
Thank you guys for doing that. While we were eating the lobster. Okay, question and answer period.
I have a bit of council business.
Go ahead.
Regarding visitor experience in Tumble Ridge, I think the 3D convention went off really well. I think a lot of times we see the disconnects, and that's what we work on. People that come from out of town and come to Tumble Ridge usually end up leaving here with a great experience as well. So I think we, continue to work on that. Will be gold stars for all of us. The district webpage. A lot of people, when we were down in St. John's as well as in Halifax, were saying the tourist site is amazing. Our webpage is really difficult to get to regarding the councillor's page, minutes and stuff like that. So I was just wondering where we are at that with getting it upgraded. Is that something that is in our strategic plan?
So the district website has been updated. I'm just going to it right now. I think it's just 2 clicks to get to the council section. Of course, it doesn't want to load right now. So the district website was updated just a little while ago here. So if you want to get to the council section, there's 1 click on the menu, and then one click on district council. So maybe if you want to come in and talk to me and
Okay.
show what you mean.
Okay. And then, I did attend a workshop at FCM on the 10-year commitments by federal funding. And my question to them was, what happens after the 10 years? I just reference back to Highway 52, when projects drop off or funding is cut, like in section for 6, those kind of things. And they said they're working on that. But to me, I think there should be resolutions or plans with each organization on sustainability going forward. Like we need to have people bringing that forward for when things are no longer funded. There has to be a plan for the long term. And that's it.
Well, I guess, you know, on that Highway 52, I think I told you the minister did come and drive that highway, and now they're coming up to talk to us about that. And they're also talking to Leonard Hebert, the area rep about the same thing, so they're definitely seem to be doing more than
Well,
that
it's
previously.
kind of back in the forefront, like they do know of it. Well, I know on my drive, going to Grand Prairie to catch the flight, I almost high-centered a couple of times. Like, there's log trucks on the road, there's huge washout areas, like it's a huge issue.
Hey, nothing else? Question and answer period. Roxanne?
So I may be late to the game, and I apologize if I am, but I'm looking at the map on page 57 for the consumption bylaw map. I have somebody else that needs to speak, but the Garden Park, the golf course, the visitor center, they are not in the restricted area. So like if somebody comes up to the RV park, they can just light up or golf course? Or how does that work?
So the golf course and RV park are municipally owned, so we can make decisions on whether or not that will happen. There will be no, the district will not be allowing consumption of cannabis on property that we own. So I'd say that.
If you were talking about the golf course, and they've been drinking beer on that golf course for a long time, so talk about the laws, the rules, laws being close to the same from alcohol to cannabis.
I can't get drunk off of your breath, but I can get high off of somebody's smoke.
Yeah.
That would be my concern,
Yeah.
and especially the RV park with there being kids and stuff around, like that would be my concern. And even like the visitor center and Canuso Cafe aren't included in this map either?
Councillor Howe?
So we did hear there are gonna be some provincial and federal things that come in place, like proximity to doorways and parks and playgrounds, all that stuff is in no matter what, right? And how that is in an RV park, I'm not sure. I know we had the discussion about like the hotels and stuff like that, how we would regulate that. So if that hotel over there, whichever one decides that they don't want it on their property, I think the way I understand it is they can ban it on their private property and say you're not allowed to do that. We didn't want to implement that for them. We kind of wanted to leave that up for them. That's kind of the discussion where that was. And the line drawn there around the visitor information center, there was also some discussions around that we had to provide a place for somebody to do this. Like there has to be a spot for them to do it. Otherwise it's all encompassing and it's going to be hard to enforce. At least there's a spot where the RCMP can direct people to go to do this. And it's a moving target as well. We talked a lot about that this is our first kick at the can to see how it goes. And I would assume that out in the RV park, you may be able to designate an area.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
there's,
know how that works, but I would assume that's probably your best bet out there.
well, and if that's what the district wanted to do, like Mr. Wall said about the district property, there is definitely enough space out there that they could go out in the one field and do that. I would just be more concerned with the sites being so close together that you wouldn't want it to be like the guy next door, because you can smell it and I can tell you that from experience. Because there are things to do about it, but if I have tree planters out there right now, for example, and I know that they partake a bit more than than my average guest. So if they were all side by side, it would get a little bit, so that clarification is perfect for me.
There's bound to be a lot of changes come up here once it gets legalized.
Yeah.
This, like Councilor Howe said, this is the first kick in the can, so.
That's perfect.
Okay, adjournment. 40 in favor?